Hey everyone, welcome back to Channel Couch Co-op. We got Grim and we got Shafes. And today we're talking about
TMNT or Last Ronin. I almost said Lost Ronin. Oh, sorry.
It's right there. No.
Yeah, exactly. Right there. Inside joke. But anyway, we this was kind of, the issue just came out yesterday. We're doing this on a Thursday. Now you guys will know our schedules here. But anyway, I picked it up last night. And after work, and I texted Grim, and I was like, "Dude, I couldn't wait," because he said he was going to pick me up a copy. And just because where I live, there's not that many great comic shops close by. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I grew up spoiled with the comic shops, and we both have kind of. We like places that beg and board, and there's not a lot of places that beg and board anymore.
And it's also tough, just because a lot of the stores aren't perfectly right suited to our location, so you can take about a 30-minute drive and get to a nice good one, or you can take a lower.
My biggest gripe is a lot of the places they use shelves that are the wire, shelvings, and it's like that is so like it could just wreck the bottom of a book, especially the corners. Yeah. But anyway, I digress.
It's
back to Ronin.
It's making the hobby less collectible friendly, just so they don't have people rushing in and just like in that Kevin Smith where the guy's looking at the milk.
Well, it's just funny because it's like I'm totally that guy too that just like flips through all the comics and goes, okay, this is the best looking one. Actually, one of the comic book shops before I moved to West, I became such good friends with the guy that ran the place that he literally knew if I picked out a comic and he's like, oh, this, like he saw an edge that was ragged, he would literally stop and be like, oh man, I'm gonna go grab you a better issue, and then he'd leave and come back, and I was like, that's service,
right?
But anyway,
but yeah, so we're talking about the Last Ronin. We as you know, with many of our videos, we love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we have a new showpiece, which
I got once again, I am 8-bit, shocking. Yeah, that's fine. All the weight's on the edge of on the couch right now. But so anyway, they came out with this. I'll do a bigger close-up of it, kind of slow pan, because this is a Where's Waldo, essentially, of Turtles. Yeah. And I just thought, when I saw this, I was like, ooh, goddamn, I love that. Like, it was a reasonable price for what it was. 8-bit always does really well. I know they pick really good printers, so yeah, anyway, the colors in this is just absolutely pop. It has, obviously, the Turtles in Time / Hyperstone Heist graphics to it, but there's like a ton of call-outs on it. There's even the Last Ronin call-out right now.
Well, it's technically not necessarily only the Last Ronin. It could be the time that Leo turned.
No, because he had the Foot Clan thing on him, and if you look very closely, he actually has the goggles from Last Ronin on his neck, around his neck.
Well, clearly he owns it and has inspected it. Where I glanced at it, it was funny because when it came out, I sent him a picture, and he's like, I gotta buy it. I have some relative large expenditures coming up at the end of this fiscal year, or calendar year, and so that probably wasn't a good idea to buy that, so I can live vicariously through Shafe's.
We both kind of live through each other vicariously, honestly. But yeah, so anyway, I love it. It's really great. You've probably seen it in our previous videos we've posted. It's sitting below the Star Wars poster now. But yeah, it'll be there. I'll do a group look on it and everything. Oh, I thought that was her making noises. So yeah, anyway, but yeah, to get into the Last Ronin, issue 3. Up until this point, like, through 1 and 2, like, we've enjoyed it immensely. I think we really enjoyed number 2, especially. Yes. I just kind of feel like it really hit the heartstrings pretty good in that one.
It's almost like they kind of led you to be disappointed a little bit, because so many things got revealed in 2. So you had, and spoilers, unfortunately, if you're watching this or whatever.
Well, let's before we get into issue 2, I say we could get into spoilers because it's been out for a few months now.
But you got the reveal on who the Last Ronin was the
end. Well, that was the end of issue 1.
End of issue 1. 2, you see the first fall of the group.
Raph.
Yeah, and then you also see a pivotal fight, and then you also see so many other incremental things that kind of like were just like you're just building up and building up and building up, and then you're left with what could they do more, and you're almost to a place that you're inevitably going to either plateau or drop, right? Clearly, there's a chance that, like a parabola or a roller coaster, it's going to jump back up because there's, to what I understand, 5 issues.
Yeah.
And there's a couple more key people that need to not exist anymore. So it's one of those things where you kind of almost led to a point, and then especially with this particular cover, you're led to a point and you're going to be mildly disappointed.
I mean, just to show you guys, obviously, it's a katana with, obviously, I almost said Jason.
Yes. Jason's going to get you.
Casey.
Casey and the Sunshine Man?
I've been on a horror kick, guys. Pardon me. But yeah, so anyway, so with this, like, basically, like, yeah, you get a little bit of spoilerage here. In my opinion, this issue is a little bit of a mess.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of agree.
It's definitely like a plate of spaghetti at times, where you're trying to get one noodle and you're ending up with 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So it's not as organized. It is still definitely a page turner where you're like, oh, I gotta keep going, gotta keep going.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah. But definitely there's some continuity issue. Well, not continuity, but timeline issues that are very, not friendly in terms of if you were either not following as detailedly or even just understanding the whole concept. Because the first panel, as we said, it says then.
Yeah.
So when it says then, are you leading to believe, if you read this, is it then from the original start of the storyline where the instance of the peace treaty is broken?
Yeah.
Is it then, whereas like you're jumping back in time, or is it even further back in time?
Mm-hmm.
So it took you a little bit to kind of realize what was going on, but it's messy in the fact that it doesn't state an exact time frame.
I think a lot of the time, I mean, just to interject real quick while we're on the topic too, is a lot of the characters look the same.
Right.
Regardless of 10 years passing by, essentially.
Because Asian don't raise it, no.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, but like, yeah, I guess they could be Asian, right? But, so like with this, like, the thing that gets me is like, damn it, it's Hiroku?
Hiroto? Yeah.
Hiroto.
Which
and
is Hirai's son.
Yes, and so which he, in this position right here with then, I mean, yeah, he looks younger, but then you
close up.
You fast forward, and he more or less looks the same. He's maybe got a little more wrinkles in his forehead, but it looks the same. And I get it, like as you said,
Asian don't raisin.
Yeah, Asian don't raisin. But with this, I just kind of like I felt like. They kind of should have done a little bit more of a distinction.
It could be presented a little bit clearer, and then on top of that, it probably for us, and we have read a lot of comic books, we're not hardcore comic book fans in the fact that we know details, artists, page numbers, and all that, but they could have easily stopped there, broke it into, and jumped to a different story point, and jumped again, so you're not saying it flows right together, because it didn't, because of the timeline jump right there.
The thing that they did, and I showed you earlier, was like I like that like certain flashbacks, and I assume this is like the
art.
I guess it couldn't be because this was after the incident, but like Eastman actually draws some of the flashbacks, which I think is a nice touch. But maybe they should have done that a little bit more with the like the flashbacks. Like, I mean, yes, I know it's costly.
Right.
But at the same time, maybe tried to mix it up a little bit, maybe coloring.
It took so long because they're waiting on Eastman to finish up. No,
yeah, exactly.
Kidding, we love you, Kevin.
Yeah, you do great work, man. No question. But as if you're watching this.
Watch for me. You can comment.
I do own a lot of your art, for the record.
We both do.
Yeah. But so yeah. Anyway, and I mean, it's good. The thing, like, there's characters that are introduced in it that was like, oh, awesome. Like, we'll get into it in the spoiler section. But as a general whole, this issue for me was a little disappointing.
It's like a B-,
like
inching towards even C.
But see, like, C. But see, like, for me, Last Ronin #2 was like the echelon.
Yeah,
so it's
it was
like
S plus.
You can't really go anywhere much.
Like I said, you're almost led to be disappointed no matter what.
Yeah, and I think there are things that are set up, which we'll also delve into here, like later on into the spoiler section. But like, yeah, it's good. Obviously, buy it if you're in the series. You're sunk in already, so go for it.
And the thing is,
it's not that bad. Don't get me wrong.
As this series progresses, and to our knowledge, it's not going to be a very long run. And I don't know your financial status, and I'm not judging, but $9 per book, and the book is actually well written and it's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yes, it's probably less of intense as the first two, but buy the series. Support your local brick and mortar if you can, and enjoy this comic book, or graphic novel if you want to call it that. It's a different take, it's a fresh take, and it's enjoyable to read and go through. Yeah,
I mean, it's good. I mean, I will warn you guys, I didn't realize it. I don't have any slipcovers for this because these are huge.
Yeah, I have a couple. I'll bring you some.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, anyway, just a little pro tip. Yeah. But anywho, so, yeah, so good. So, here we are. Spoilers! So, yeah. So, here we'll go into it, like, the last issue with Raph basically taking out Karai, turning her into a vegetable.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah. And we had a question, because I thought it was Roku? No.
Hiroto. Yeah.
Hiroto. Damn it. I'm going to fuck that up every time, because their names are so close together. But anyway, which I get. But, at the same time, like, Hiroto, I thought it was Hiroto that saved his mother, but then Grimm kind of brought something up. He's like, I think he was too young at that stage. And it's like, see, and that's kind of where it's like, we're kind of getting into the messiness of
the timeline.
Yeah, it's because it's not so clear.
So feasibility, it very well could be his hand, arm, etc. But the problematic thing is just, it is one shot, and you're led to believe. But that's also, I guess, what you were talking about also when we discussed it just in brief conversation before this video, is they're not showing a lot, and I hope if they're doing it correctly in our opinions, it leads to a bigger reveal later on.
Yeah.
So the hand, is it Hiroto? Is it some other force? Is it Hiroto's father? Because they never say who the father is.
Yeah.
Right? And then in this particular issue, as you can tell from the cover, two of the good guys, I don't know what the team name of the Ninja Turtles, two of them get hypothetically blown up.
Yeah.
You don't see a death scene, and if it's anything like Star Wars or Game of Thrones, or whatever mythos you believe in, if you don't see them literally die, they're not dead.
Yeah, technically. And I kind of have I had a thought. I was like, I bet you, because Baxter Stockman is fucking twisted.
Yeah.
And they kind of show that a little bit in this, because they introduced Fugitoid. He's back.
So the two cameos, well, you saw Fugitoid's head at the end of book 2.
Yeah.
But this is the first introduction of New Age Baxter Stockman.
Yeah.
And to not be racist, we saw a African American gentleman paneled, and we're like, huh. And we both thought this because as we were conversing, we're not trying to be racist, but it's probably Baxter Stockman, and it was Baxter Stockman.
Yeah. Well, I just laughed because, they show him and everything, and it's just him talking to the Foot Clan. Yeah. And I thought to myself, I was like, because in my remembrance of the comic books, he barely teamed up with the Foot Clan in the original run.
The original Mirage one, or the original...
Mirage, right? It was Mirage, the original, right?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, okay. 84 to whatever. Yeah. So, in that one, Andy wasn't in it that much. I think he, got dispatched really easily, and, Shredder, essentially just curbed him.
Yeah, whereas, the cartoon just turned him into a fly.
Yeah.
And he was also white.
Yeah, that too. Redhead, no less. Yeah, complete reversal. But yeah, so anyway, in this they show him, he looks badass. He's upgraded his Mausers, now they fly, which was shown in the last issue. They
kind of look like when we played Turtles in Time, those spinning discs on the floor, but they're totally flying.
Well, no, I thought they looked like the ones that were actually, there is one in here, I believe. I thought it was up on the highway. It's one of those flying little things, and it had like a little pointy nose on it. They look kind of like fat mosquitoes.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
These things?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I was thinking there were like those little disc things that swirl on the floor. And
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They send out the boomerang thing. Like they, excuse me, they kind of look like that a little bit, but they don't have like propellers or anything. It's so far into the future, like everything's like, look at you, must be salty.
Yeah.
But so anyway, like everything's like holographic. The city, there's flying cars. Mm-hmm. They show that and stuff.
Yeah,
but
I mean, the premises of this particular part is Hiroto, who is now in charge of the Foot Clan, wants to make a truce, and as an old timer Splinter is, he wants to honor the traditions of a truce. So Donnie and Master Splinter are going to meet.
They're basically, they created, Fugitoid and Donnie created a craft where they could cloak themselves, right. And they're going to fly to Japan because it's going to be a peace treaty between them and another gang, right. Is it the Hamatos?
Well, Hamato is Hamato Yoshi, which is Splinter.
Oh,
so
okay. So
two clans.
Yeah, you're right. I can't believe I forgot that. Anyway, sad. But yeah, so. He's like, we gotta come a truce, and the thing that you kind of see is it looks like the Turtles did build kind of a resistance a little bit. I mean, that's the thing that's kind of a little bit of messy because I thought, my mind blinds with all the other stories, the Purple Dragons were a part of their team. Yeah. But it was like, no, that was the 2012 or 2011 run that they became good eventually.
The time's constant run.
Yeah. And so.
We're just like, who are these people, essentially?
Well, I knew the Purple Dragons, but
in this book.
Yeah. And so, but in this, they're purely evil. They're sided with the Foot Clan. Yeah. And so, in this, they set it up. Stockman goes after basically Fugitoid because he wants the technology that he has. Right. And then you end up finding out in the issue that he's emitting some kind of traceable thing, and Stockman's figured it out, and that's how they found where he was so easily, and basically bombards them, and Fugitoid says, like, I'll self-destruct if you come even close to capturing me. There's no point. And so Baxter Stockman goes, all right, well, if that's the case, and he like hits a button, blows the entire building with Casey, Michelangelo, Fugitoid in April. And the rebellion. Yeah, the rebellions, the rebels. And then, and then the thing that they kind of, they show, like, they were obviously in the heart of it, because Casey and Leo were together, which was a cool call out was Casey running out like Raph, had like just using all of his anger, going after everybody, and he hits one of the new foot soldiers that are all cyborgs now, and his hockey stick breaks. And so, and then he tries to use all of his weapons, and he finds they're all useless because they're all wood, and it doesn't work against metal, and then he eventually finds a sledgehammer. Yeah. Which, what does he end up calling it later?
I don't remember.
Was it sledge? Something. I don't know, but anyway.
I enjoyed the panel where Casey was like, hey, it's your time to pay for pizza. And then Leo's like, okay, I'm picking the toppings. And he's like pineapple and jalapeno or something like that.
Pineapple, ham, and jalapeno, which is delicious, by the way.
Oh my gosh, you're going to say that pineapple needs to be on a pizza, which I don't mind, but I'm sure a lot of people hate it.
I love it, personally. It's just the sweetness with the spice and saltiness is nice. It's a complex flavor.
Well, if you're a Ninja Turtles fan, you've probably tried a whole bunch of slew of things.
Like anchovies and marshmallows and something else, I forgot. But so anyway, it's good. Like we said, the story in this one, it's a lot more about Hiroto. I think it's a little more focused on him.
That's why it sucks. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, he's a megalomaniac. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. But I guess look at you. You just want attention right now. So unfortunately, I came straight home from work and we started this, so she's a little needy at the moment. Yeah, I love you too, buddy. I see you. So
star of the channel Couch Co-op.
Yeah, exactly. She thinks she is. But so anyway, we I think it's a good issue. I hope there's a lot that's springboarded off of this. April found Fugitoid after the explosion,
as you saw in panel.
And towards the end of the story, you actually find out that April releases the knowledge because Michelangelo's like, you know, what are we gonna do? Blah blah blah, and he's like, he's probably not even alive in there still. Do you think? And he's like, actually, yes. She's like, I think he's in standby mode.
Stasis, yeah.
Stasis, yeah, sorry. Stasis.
Sorry, I play a lot of Destiny too. You know what I'm talking about, Stasis.
Hey. I know Stasis from Dead Space. But, so yeah, he's in stasis, so, you know, it doesn't ping Stockman if he's still around, essentially. Which, I guarantee it, he's around. If he hasn't turned himself into a supercomputer or something like that, I'd be shocked.
So, before we get into kind of some more details, you have a theory that, you know,
because like I look at it this way: Michelangelo survived,
right,
and basically unscathed. He just got a really bad bout of amnesia, and I think I'm like, okay, if that's the case, it's possible Leo lived in some capacity. And Casey could have too. I doubt it, but
he's a mere human.
Yeah, exactly. He's not mutated or anything, so you know he could have easily blown up too. But April also didn't necessarily die. She lost limbs, arm and a leg,
and she was pregnant.
Yeah, surprise.
Either was it an immaculate explosion or was it Casey Jones?
Yeah. Immaculate. It was an immaculate explosion, all right.
Oh,
but yeah, so we
didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
Oh,
but yeah, so I have a theory that maybe Stockman found their bodies and maybe he's turning them into cyborgs, and that's going to be a reveal later on because they kind of hint at. Like, oh, maybe Stockman's still around, and it's like, of course he is.
Well, and that's the interesting thing because when you said that, I instantly, and for those who watched the Invincible series, the college campus crazy mad scientist.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I kind of got a vibe from that. The only thing that I'm reluctant to completely go full aboard on this theory is if it's true that there's only 5 books. Yes, these aren't normal comic books. It's not 30 pages or whatever, and they're much longer. And they could very well just make a damn book and be like, here, this is your last issue.
$12.
Yeah. Like, $50, here you go. So with that said, you know, I don't know how much space and how much story they can cover in those 2 issues. Mind you, they could, like I say, because full send it and then make it like a 150-page thing and just be like, guess what? You're just going to get all the story you want now.
Well, in this issue, they totally set it up with, because you end up finding out that in this issue that Michelangelo actually trained in Japan for a while.
Yeah.
And the next cover art kind of hints at that fact.
Oh.
Which, there it is. You know, it kind of definitely looks Japan, and he has a Japanese journal, it looks like.
Oh, it could be the death of Donnie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, you know, it's interesting. I mean, in the next issue, obviously, Donnie's going to die.
Right.
If not at the same time, Splinter.
Right.
We assume. So, you know, there's that. We'll see what Michelangelo went through, like finding himself and stuff like that.
His Jedi training.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. Made him all grumpy and everything. And
turned him into a Wookiee.
Yeah, basically. He's a curmudgeon now.
Yeah.
But, which is that there's actually even a quip with Casey Marie, which is Casey and April's daughter. She's 16 in the comic. They even name dropped that. But you know, like she's like, "Oh, you're funny. You're the funny one." But he was like being serious, telling her not to do it. You know, and she's like, "Oh, you're funny," and he's like, "No, I wasn't trying to be funny." And but yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of good call outs in it. It's a good issue. Like we said, a bit of mess.
Yeah.
I have hopes that they kind of pick it up here a little bit in the forward timeline here soon.
Yeah.
Because I kind of feel like the past couple of issues have been just them kind of hiding.
Yeah.
More or less. Now the Foot Clan has taken over New York entirely, martial law style.
Right.
So, and they have new soldiers.
Yeah.
So at least that was teased. And then also the fact that Stockman clearly was around still. He made Complete Robot, which, if you notice, their arm guards looked a lot like the
old school foot soldiers from
the late 80s cartoon.
Yeah.
So there was a nice call out to that.
Well, there's a couple things that I noticed, which I don't know if you did. Part of the crew in the future with Casey Marie. It's Casey Marie, right?
Yep.
Excuse me. I have the vaccine. The other thing is two of the henchmen or cohorts look exactly like Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Just because.
But they swapped it. So the white guy had Bebop's visor on, and then the other guy had
like the mutton chops.
Yeah, mutton chops, and then the mohawk. But yeah.
And the other thing that I want to throw out with Last Ronin is much like a lot of comic books in the last 15 to 20 years that we've read, they have a great idea, they have a great intro, and then it just completely lands.
Flounders, really.
And like full blow up, and it's just so disappointing. This is probably that junction. We've hit that plateau or that start of downward descent, and if you want a good roller coaster, it's not one big hill. It's multiple events and things of that sort. And I hate roller coasters. So we'll have to see what happens, because, like, if I'll draw to All New X-Men, the idea was very unique, and me and Shapes were full-on fans of it, and then it just took a huge left swing. And not to say it's a horrible arc. There are mild redeeming qualities. Mild. But when we first got into it, we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and then it just failed to land.
Yeah. And with that, though, it was a lot of it, though, was because it was just kind of like nothing ended up truly happening, because I was hoping that they would go back in their timeline and it would completely change the current timeline for the X-Men, because they know exactly what's going to happen.
And I think a lot of my issues with
now it's like it never happened, right? Because
I stopped reading it just because it just felt so flat out.
I didn't even read House of X and Dawn of X and all of that, just because I was just kind of like, a semi-bad Xavier. I don't know if I could 100% jump on board with that.
They've been doing that for like 15 years now, though, bad Xavier.
Yeah, but it was never really truly him.
Sure.
Like,
Onslaught, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And so it's like, there was that, but yeah. I mean, I'll stop on the X-Men.
I think the point is this. It's like the grievance that we have on comic books and even comic book companies now is basically like they can't really take that risk, because to my knowledge, if you actually kill off a character and you don't use the character for so long, something happens to the rights. And then secondarily, like, there hasn't been one of those big things, and unfortunately it's almost common knowledge now that if anything or anyone dies, you're going to come back. Even the Ninja Turtles did it when Donnie died, and he came back.
He didn't really die, though.
He got beaten to
a bloody pulp to the point where basically he did flatline, but they brought him back.
Which was an interesting panel where Bebop had this and he bashed the hell out of the shell.
It just said splat. And you're like, oh. But in a way, you can't really take too many risks, which I understand. I don't think that's necessarily the case, because Eastman now fully owns all rights to the Turtles.
Again?
Yeah. Oh, he has since, I think, 2003 or something like that?
I thought he sold it to Nickelodeon.
No, he still owns all the rights. He just... That's why he's always, like, executive producer on everything.
So you gotta get the clear from him. And then
exactly.
Okay.
So, because before, I think Eastman gave it to Laird.
Laird sold it.
No, you're right. Laird sold it to Nickelodeon. And I think Nickelodeon asked both of them to come back on. Laird said he was done.
Right.
And Eastman said, sure.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think Eastman now, I think he's executive producing everything, but I don't know if he's...
the consultant.
Yeah. And so is Waltz, obviously, because he's on everything now, which is good. I like you, Tim. Or Tom. Tom. So Tom, but yeah, so anyway, like, this is... With this, though, I feel as though, like, they have they don't have to worry about like the Wolverine thing, you know, like we can't keep Wolverine away because we'll lose the rights to him eventually. It's not Marvel and all of that necessarily.
I mean, and it's also a side storyline, which luckily, if they do it right, they don't need to add on to more Last Ronin. It ends the way it ends, and it's a magnificent
Well, they even
story.
said, I mean, essentially this is kind of like a Old Man Logan storyline, where it just takes place outside of any universe, really. It follows the original comic book lines, where it's like a dystopian future where the bad guys essentially won. You know, and it's the last stand, essentially.
And not to make this video 4 hours, but I thought of an interesting question. Like, for Ninja Turtles, this is their dark storyline.
Yeah.
We've been asking for this for years, and they've had a couple of minor ones with other comic book titles and etc. But with this, where do they go from here? Yes, they still have Changes Constant as their main IDW storyline, but in Turtles, they've done time travel. You've gone back in time, in fact. You've done dinosaurs. You've done crossovers, like
Space.
I
don't know if they necessarily, but they haven't done changes. I don't think they've done Space and Changes Constant yet, have they?
Don't recall.
I don't think so.
There
I know
was
they.
a sub-series with Utopians.
Oh, there was?
Yes.
Or the Utrons?
Yeah, there's a Dimension X subline.
Because you get Krang.
Yes.
And he's teased.
Yeah.
And you get the old school bot that looks like the callback from the 80s.
Yeah.
With him in it. But, you know, it's like you see, because Shredder beats him through a portal, like a spiritual portal, I think, or something like that, right?
I don't remember.
But anywho, well, I'll look it up. I'll throw it up there. But there's a lot of crap in this brain now. Sorry, it gets blocked up, and it blends together eventually. But
it's like what Monty Burns had when all
what
the
happens when you get
viruses
old.
and germs try to
Yeah.
It's called Three Stooges syndrome.
Right, there's just so many they can't get through. It's keeping you alive.
But yeah, like, where would the Turtles go after this?
I don't think there's. I mean, a reboot, perhaps. I mean, they tried to do the Legends again with the original Mirage run, where the Turtles, you know, one, like, Raph gets his face scarred and he wears Casey's mask because Casey dies.
Yeah.
And then Donnie, or is it Donnie or Leo that becomes a cyborg?
I think it was Donnie.
Okay. And then...
That Donnie just straight up dies in that arc.
And then Leo lost an arm, right?
Something like that.
I think Leo lost an arm. And then Mikey was fine, I think. But,
no one liked Mikey. They kicked him off the boat.
Yeah. Nah. But yeah, so... Sorry, Mikey. But yeah, so, you know, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think they've covered the bases now.
Right.
And I think that what's nice about this kind of stuff is they could try things in different formats and see what sticks.
Right.
And then eventually kind of bring it into something else, because maybe this even kind of came out of the line of, like, Legends did really well when they re-released it.
Right.
We bought it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so they were probably like, all right, there's an appetite for Dark Turtles out there.
I mean, I think there's an appetite for Turtles in general, you know, seeing how this is a thing.
Yeah. I mean, everything's cyclical, you know. It seems to kind of be like a 10 to 20 year cycle with things, you know. I think everything, you know, everybody kind of gets the overload eventually, and they're kind of like, and then something happens where it's rebooted or whatever, and then people are like, oh, fuck, you know. I'm going back to this. You know, maybe one could say Marvel's kind of going through that. Use cinematic universe a little. Yeah, I mean, granted,
we'll see the next 3 movies. If it doesn't stick, then they're clearly got something coming.
Well, I'm interested to see what Loki has, but I mean, I don't really care about Black Widow. Sorry, and
I don't care about Scarlett Johansson.
I mean, don't get me wrong, she's a great actress, but her character in the movies was fine. But I don't know what it is, like spy stuff is always kind of meh. To me, it's like that belongs at Bond and Bourne Identity and stuff like that. But
I'm really intrigued about Shang-Chi, just to see how that turns out.
Yeah, that he showed me the thing, because I personally never really got into it. He did a little bit, right?
No, but
no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I knew the lead actor from a show that he was in called Kim's Convenience.
Oh, he was in. I didn't know that.
He's the son.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he looks so much different. He might be granted he's shirtless in half of the footage of the trailer, but
according to not me knowing, but the joke is on his Twitter. He's always shirtless.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I'm flaunting if you got it, I guess.
I just got the old barrel, so that's not happening.
Mine's not great either. I mean, but yeah. So it's I'm excited about that. The footage in that, the music in it was really fucking good. What is it? It's like Flying Lotus. It's like some dude. Have you watched? You gotta watch it. It's the Black Samurai show, and I can't remember it now. It's not Afro.
Oh, okay.
Or Afro Samurai? Is that what it's called? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. The one with Samuel as the voice actor. Yeah. There's a new one. It just came out on Netflix, and it's fuck. It's like Satsuki or something. Or anyway, look it up. It's actually really goddamn good.
Here.
It takes place in feudal Japan. Good shout out to that. If you dig old Japan like I do, feudal Japan, this story takes place during. Fuck me. It starts with a G. Oh, the emperor that tried to bring Japan together. It'll be right there. It's like it's Nobu something. Anyway, he tried to bring in Japan together, but he eventually fell because obviously everybody hates each other back then.
Right.
But yeah, so anyway, he eventually fell, and his right hand man was a slave initially, but he saw that he was a great fighter, and he brought him in and taught him the ways of the samurai. And in the story, it's about him going through feudal Japan. He becomes a hermit later because he lost his master, and so he's a Ronin.
Right.
He's not a shogun anymore, and so basically, he's by himself, and then a girl who has mystical powers is trying to outrun these other people that are trying to capture her. They too have mystical powers. There's a Russian in it that turns into a werebear. Yeah, and
alter beast, if you will.
Yeah, basically. And it's really good. So check it out.
Cool. But we'll probably continue.
Oh yeah, Flying Lotus. I forgot my point. Flying Lotus does the music in that show. Wow, chef's kiss. It's fucking awesome. It's like a mixture of. Kind of like urban electric maybe, and like old feudal Japan music style with like drums and strings and stuff like that. Really good.
Cool. But to kind of wrap this into a whole, I know we've hit on 15 tangents, and this is probably about a half an hour video. We'll continue doing these Last Ronin reviews, if you will. We really like the series. That's something that we're passionate about. Clearly, as you can see. If you're watching this and you're a fan of Last Ronin or even a fan of comic books, let us know what your major gripes on storylines in the last 30 years are, what you hate and what you're annoyed about.
Or where would you like it to go? Yeah. I guess that'd be a good.
For the Last Ronin, what do you think? Throw out in the comment section what you think is going to happen, and then on top of that, just create discourse and just have a conversation in the chats. Because I'm going to reply to almost every single one of the comments. And I'm curious of what you think, even what you think of our yammering on. So, continue to watch. We really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time, all right? Take care.
Later, guys.